It's a cold, rainy day in October, so I figured I'd bundle up and do a little video here. Speaking about nature. Now I'm going to try my hardest not to get flustered or frustrated and be a little humorous because I've been trying to shoot videos for a while. And since I have knowledge of so many different things and no specific questions that are asked, I want to dive into so many things. So if I stop and break down a word, I may stop the camera and then get back onto my track, so that way I'm not shooting all over the place so people don't know what the hell I'm talking about, and I don't want to lose anybody. But try to look at nature in a different context. A lot of people think that it's just a dormant, inactive, machine that works a certain way. Now the universe works in a specific way. The nature itself does have what we could call emotions. And if you manipulate it and you pollute it so badly and treat it like it's nothing, it does have a repercussion that will come back to you. If we keep putting garbage and toxins into our environment, that's all it's got to work with to give back to us. Now, science has also discovered all these kinds of neat things where, mushrooms, they communicate through their mycelial mats, and trees can communicate through their root systems, and this tree can drop another tree and send more carbon to its own seedlings. So we have to understand that nature is alive and it's conscious in its own way. Now, in the same way, minerals are alive and conscious in their own way, or else we wouldn't be able to store things on them and then replay them. Mineral memory is something that I wanted to start diving into years ago, but I wanted people to understand about the numbers and letters and what those symbolize when we get into what they are and what they mean and how they play a certain role in our lives, because they're the information that we communicate to each other with. So what we need to understand is that when we have a food system that we eat, let's say that you can't stand vegetables. You grew up your whole life being raised on the modern American diet, and you love the sugars and the sweets and all the processed garbage that you've been putting in your body. Now, we are such a resilient organism that we can break things down and build a tolerance to them, just like any other drug. Now, it's still causing you to not be at the mental level you could be. Whether people understand that or not, when you commute with nature in a certain way and you see it as your family and you live with it as your family, it treats you well. So when you eat those fruits and vegetables that you grew yourself, those grains, those things that you grew yourself, those beans and legumes, science may say this is horrible and that's horrible and it's horrible for you, because those scientists and doctors, not all of them, but many of them, are basically just doing what they're paid to do. And they're finding loopholes, and they're coming up with researches and data that's just fabricated. Now, nobody wants to hear that, and I'm not trying to point fingers at any specific person, but let's just take into the idea that a living thing that does not want to die, specifically animals, they hold more memory. They're mobile. They can create more memory. They can hold more fear. They can hold more pain. Like fruits and vegetables and plants, yes, they have consciousness. You don't belittle them and treat them like they're nothing, but you respect them and you work with them in the environment you're in. You don't manipulate them and overuse them. The way we've been using our GMOs and all those things because we want now, more. We're trying to produce them at a rate that we can't sustain and that it can't maintain. So when we keep doing that, we are causing this world to speed up, because the more GMOs you put into the fruits, vegetables, and animals, they go through our system and we think it stops there. But the waste that comes out of our body through our poop and our pee goes back into the ground. That goes back into the mineral memory. And through that mineral memory is what we would consider spirit or energy, just life energy as it is, the essence of itself, is now manipulated and it's moving faster. I know this because I've experienced it and I know what I'm talking about. I'm just trying to put it in the best words that other people can really start to fathom what is going on here in a huge spectrum. Now, when we have people that are chasing after money, and recognition and popularity, you have to understand that those are unnecessary things in our lives. The material possessions we have are definitely a convenience. Do you need a nice car? Do you need technology and computers and all these great things? No. If they are affecting us in a way that's causing us to be more judgmental of each other, like see ourselves as separate and I've got this and it's mine, that's not communicating and cooperating in a way that is harmonious within ourselves. Within ourselves, if we feel that I've got to hold this for me, it's mine, I don't want anyone else to have it, what do you think that's doing to you? What do you think that's doing to other people? It's causing bigger degrees of separation. And if you can't see that, I'm sorry, but it's not necessarily something that someone's going to bring to your attention if they're trying to make money off you or if they're trying to sell through corporations. Some are just advertisers and they don't care what you do. They don't care about your health. They say they do, and they can have the nicest, prettiest, most well-dressed person saying all these meaningful things to you. But off camera, they're really just making money. Now, I am not in any way against certain people or a certain exact person because I understand how this whole thing works. Even the evil people in this world are in the place they're playing because we've let things get this out of control. Now, if you had a spot on the corporate ladder or a position of power or authority, you're not going to want to give that up because you don't want to feel like the people that you see as poor and in poverty because you don't want to live like that. Now, I'm not saying everyone should just live like a homeless person or live like a nomad, but I'm saying that we need to go back to nature in a way where we're not manipulating it. We're not in a hurry to eat so much and have so much and get this and have that. We've got to see that by doing that, we're causing our own demise. We really are. And if that can't touch your heart and you can't understand and think it's about me and I don't care, I want to get what I have in this life. You only live once. No, you live billions of times. What most people don't want to know and understand because they don't think they're religious or they don't think they're spiritual or they don't care or they think they're atheists. Those are words and they mean something. And it doesn't mean anything other than you believe what you're thinking. And there's a bigger picture to this whole thing that no matter what you believe, no matter what you think, it's going to happen a certain way. Now your thinking and your thought patterns, those definitely have something to do. Like say if you hate fruits and vegetables and you force yourself to go on a fruit and vegetable diet and you can't stand it and it makes you think like, oh, I can't stand this. The thinking that you have will cause those things not to be so healthy for you. They're still better for you than dead meat. But if you're eating dead meat and you're like, no, this is so good, and you're addicted to it, it's giving you those rushes of endorphins that may basically heal your body in its own way. So yes, you can live off of a meat diet. You can do that. But you're not taking into consideration those other living beings. Now, fruits and vegetables, they offer their plants, they offer their fruits, and they die off and come back the next year. That's why I'm saying you don't manipulate them and overuse them at a rate that they can't sustain and at a rate that we can't keep up with, because if you keep pushing it and pushing it harder and harder, all you're going to do is wear it out. Just like think of a machine it this way: you push your car too much without giving it the proper rest, without giving it the proper fuel, without giving it the proper time to cool down. We're doing that to nature and treating it like it's a machine, but it's not. It's a living thing, and we're using up the energy that we don't have anymore. We don't have the energy. We don't have the time to wait. That's why I get so mad and angry when I'm trying to talk about it, because I know that it's my responsibility to teach what I've experienced to other people. God itself, the living essence of this universe, has manifested in me and shown me what people need to know. And it doesn't mean that it's going to be fun. In fact, that there's going to be a lot of pain and suffering because so many people are not ready. They don't know how they would take care of themselves. I see people that are grown going into the stores and getting nothing but microwave dinners and TV dinners and processed food and snacks and candy and gummy bears, and like, you're just poisoning yourself. It doesn't matter if you like it. If you want to be here and be part of your family, see your kids and grandkids grow and have something that they can actually use for a life, then you've got to take steps back and really start thinking. It's important. It's because I care about you that I say this, not because I'm trying to yell at you or lecture you. There's enough people doing that out there. And then on the opposite spectrum, there's people out there that are saying the nicest things to sell you stuff that's condemning you and making you sick, so that they can make big money off of the I don't want to say certain names like big pharma and stuff like that. I mean, everyone says that. I don't know if there's strikes for that, and I'm not too worried about it. It's just we have to start thinking a little deeper. Now, whether you think you're spiritual or religious or any of those words at all, you have to realize that the Creator itself allowed you a lifetime, because each one of us, no matter how good we seem or no matter how bad we seem, we're either what we would consider a fallen angel or a being who came to help. And during that process of you manifesting into a life and going through a childhood, sometimes you forget that. Most of the time we do, especially here in America. And now that we're Americanizing everything else, we're making the Western world spread across like a disease that it is. I'm not saying all of it, but our mentality, our attitudes, our way of life, our thirst and hunger for lust and violence and gore, and our need for all these material things and poisonous foods is infecting the rest of the world that way. We have to understand that this has to change. We have no choice at this point, because we can turn this around. It's just going to take a lot of effort and a lot of people who care. Now, like I said, each one of us is a fallen angel in some shape or form, whether we came down and chose to help or whether we were cast out so that we could keep learning. Now, just think of it, take those words out and realize that when you die and you didn't learn, you come back and you remanifest. And you do. That's why I can explain these things to you, because words and letters and patterns are the informational source that we use to communicate, no matter what language. English, or the shapes of our letters, not necessarily saying that the people who invented these languages did it because they cared. They did it so they could communicate. And there's nothing wrong with that. But they didn't know this. They all align because the universe is working in such a magnificent way through each one of us. I know that when a certain person has studied these things and researched these things and they felt like, I resonate with that. And somebody like me says, well, that's not right. That's not the right way to do it. You don't want to sign papers and align with the government so that you can be permitted to do what you can do, whether or not it makes your life easier or not. Unless you're planning on doing that and then somehow still working towards alleviating the problem of control over us. You can't join with the master team or the hideous, insidious, dark group and think you're going to be a good person and do good things. Because now you've aligned with the wrong side. If we're picking sides, which there is a side to this whole thing, there is a they and there is a us, and above and beyond it all, we are one living organism with living spirit within us. Now, some people say some people don't have souls and some people aren't spiritual. Yes, they are. If they can think a thought and say, hey, do you like this or that? And they can say, yeah, or no, and they can make interpretive decisions, then they are containing that living essence. Whether we call it spirit or soul doesn't matter. Like, we have to look past the depth of education that we have been trained to believe and start relearning now. We don't need to keep looking back in history because that keeps repeating itself. History is a good reference point, but we have to know what's going wrong now and work forward to alleviate those problems. Like, a lot of the people that we were told were these greats were actually very hideous, dark people. Almost all of the presidents were bad people. If they were holding power over over others, then they weren't the greatest people. You think they are? Do you think they were good leaders? I know, but I'm not going to belittle anybody or talk bad about them because that's not my place. My place is to teach you that all of us have done wrong. All of us have done good in some way or another. To maybe some of the ones that are doing really dark things in their life, they've done most of their good for the people that they know or for themselves in certain ways. But there's not one person who's completely sinister or one person who's completely great, because we all make mistakes. As we grow on this path, we have to make decisions that are very difficult. And some people avoid those like it's the plague. They don't want to change because they're comfortable. And how many people right now do you know that have like diabetes or super health issues or whatever, and they're still eating garbage and watching garbage and sitting around being lazy, not moving their bodies, not exercising their ability to think on their own because it makes them uncomfortable and it's hard for them. These are the people we need to help a lot. I'm not saying the most. The people we need to help the most are the children, because they have been manipulated in ways that, oh my goodness, it's so bad what we've done to our children and allowed to happen. We all should be a little ashamed of ourselves. I know I am, and that's why I tried to remove them from school. And by talking out about the things that I know to be true about certain people, the reason I can't say it is because I'm afraid of my children being hurt. Like I've said many times, I'm not afraid of death. I know death. Like everything, like there's nothing else that I know better than what it is like to die. There's nothing that I know better than that. Now, Dan, I know my certain stuff about my own past life. It means nothing to me. What matters now is helping the people that need it. All of us are at a mental handicap because of what we've fed ourselves and what we've been being taught and told. And until we actually understand that and face it and say, you know what? Not only was I wrong, I had no idea how deep this pit of despair has become. And some people just want to look at the positive side. Don't think about anything negative. That will not help. It will not. There's a level to that. You don't want to sit and just be in doom and gloom and pissed off at everybody forever. But you have to understand, in order to make those changes, you've got to feel in order to heal. If you can't feel anything, you're not going to help anybody else because you can't relate to them. You have no sympathy towards others if you've never felt pain yourself. And right now, we're plunging into a place where so many people have lost that feeling and have become so desensitized that it's going to take a lot of pain in order to learn. Now, I'm trying my hardest to open the hearts of people who can care enough. Now, there's people out there who have all these websites and all these like web channel or YouTube channels or different channels on different platforms, and I reach out to them and say, I can really help you. And since they think they're like a truther or some seeker who knows some great things because they're breaking down symbology in a movie or symbology on a song, there's more to it than that. You have to understand there's so much more to it than that. And people that would have been good have now sold themselves out because they don't want to lose their position in life. They don't want to feel broke. They don't want to feel poor, and they don't want to feel insignificant. Now me, I have no friends at all that I can say is a very close personal friend. And I feel so at one with nature that that is okay. There are different periods of time where I feel totally down because as a father, I miss my children. Now, enlightened or not, don't tell me that you're not going to miss your loved ones when you're doing the right thing and you know you could help them. Now, people say, God puts you on your path for a reason. Yeah, I know I am on this path because God showed me. Whatever you want to call that has shown me what we are here to do. This planet is dying, and the human living spirit that is within all of us, that is within nature, is dying. And it needs a jump start. The jump start starts inside you, starts inside your heart and soul. And you use your mind in order to connect with that. You use your stomach in order to keep your body clean and cleansed and living off of a natural source. You're not living off a natural source if you're eating man-made stuff, bioengineered things, or if you're spending your time so fascinated with your gadgets and gadgets that the real world outside you is now boring because you can see a 3D world in the metaverse. That stuff is pathetic. I'm sorry to say, but we're letting our kids live in a fake world because we're not giving ourselves the time for them because we say, oh, I gotta work, I gotta make this money. Money is a fake thing used to keep you under control. And until you understand that, don't be one of these people that says like, oh, you're just looking at money wrong. You have a bad relationship with money. No, I don't. I know how to save a lot of money. But what is that gonna do to me when people don't care about each other? Now, when I say that, some people say, oh, people care. I'm like, not about the right things. They don't care enough to say we've got to stand up to the government. We've got to remove our kids from public school systems. We have to. There's no other choice unless you want them to grow up immoral, unless you want them to grow up poisoned, unless you want them to grow up hating you for not standing up for them. Now, I'm going to end this video by saying something that may make you mad, but sometimes people need a little boot in the ass in order to get themselves moving. I guarantee you, and I challenge you to prove me wrong, that I care more about your kids and their safety, and I actually care more about you and your safety than you do. And if that's not true, prove me wrong, reach out, and tell me how I'm wrong. Now, there may be a few people who are doing things in their community that are really trying to help out, but are you eating dead animals? Are you contributing to the negative things going on in this world? Are you publicly or indirectly advertising or sponsoring or speaking good about the products that are poisoning us and not conscious of it? Now, that may not be your fault, but I'm trying to bring all this stuff to your attention. And that's why I get all over the place on these videos, because I'm glad I didn't break any words down so I didn't have to stop it. But that's why I go all over the place in these videos, because I have so much to share with you. I have felt and experienced that moment, that experience of timelessness, where I have seen alternate universes, and I know that they were real, more real than this. And I have seen and understand and know it's true because it played out in this world exactly the way I saw it. And I know what's coming. And the problem is, people don't really want to believe this, and they think it's just too far-fetched. If I talk about it, it happens. So that's why I'm not one of these truthers breaking down symbology and stuff like that. If you want to see that, there's plenty of people doing it. But I have to say, a lot of them are wrong. And a lot of them really want to believe in their Bible and really want to believe in their truth and really want to believe in their religion. And I understand. It resonates with them. It's what their name propels them to do. And like I've said, your name has many definitions. Like a rainbow has different colors. We have at least 7 definitions that break into 7 pieces. And it's like, people don't want to hear that because they just don't understand. The word sever means severed and even. And it represents the letter G, which is generative or groups. That's what things are. We are severed and even. We are living. Whether you want to say that you have a soul or a spirit, we are living. We are the living. Now, there are demonic entities and there are holy or angelic entities, angelic. And they are all here at once for you, I, and each individual to have a learning process through this whole thing that we call the universe, or the conglomeration or the combined total of the universal mind is putting us in spots so that we can learn what we specifically needed to learn this time. Like, time is just a tool. Our bodies are just a tool. Our spiritual bodies are just a tool. Our mental capabilities, our amazing ways of developing and all that stuff, those are tools. Now, we're developing things that we do not need, and we need to step back. We actually need to remove our cell phone towers. We need to have people brave enough to stand up and say, these things need to go. We need to take them down. We need to stand up and sometimes be vandalistic. We've got to break things down. In order to fix things, sometimes you have to break things or remove them. Remove the harmful things that we have in our society. Remove the harmful things that we're putting in our bodies and minds. And that's the only way to repair this. I'm saying this from the bottom of my heart and from the depth of my soul. God bless each one of you, because God is in me. God is in you. And whether or not you believe in a God, whatever you praise, please understand that when I say God, I'm talking about the thing that put us into creation, that has no preference of good or bad, that doesn't say Yahweh or Jesus or Buddha or any of those things. None of those things are as negative as anyone wants them to be. Let's say some Bible-thumping Christians or some Bible-thumping Catholics, or no matter what religion they're in, they really want to believe what they have led, or they really want to believe what they've been led to believe. And they really want to believe what resonates with them because it was taught into them, and they want to feel right. And I understand that. And I love them for who they are. I just don't love people for what they're doing and for misleading each other with unknowing. For instance, last thing I'm going to say, there's a book by somebody about consciousness. And in their interview about their book, they kept pointing out how we wonder how this works and we wonder how that works, and nobody knows, and I do. And when I say I can actually help you, I'm not being conceited. I want nothing for this. I'm doing this because it's my responsibility to you and to my family, which I see the universe as my family. I see this whole damn thing as my family. And until you feel that way in yourself and really mean it, you can't tell me that I'm heading in the wrong direction, because I care and because I give a shit about what's happening here. If you're just going me, this is a be me world. No, it's not. It's not a world where it's your journey. Your journey contains everything else in it. If you don't get that, you've got a mental block that needs to be removed. And the only way to do that is to open your heart. And if that's not going to work, you're going to go through a lot of pain and suffering now or soon in the future in order to have this happen. Now, I'm going to leave it at that. I love you guys and God bless you. Let's bring this universal family together. Please reach out to me at my email addresses. Send me messages. Ask me any questions in these comments. Like I said, I can't go into the depth because not only do I not want my kids to get hurt, I don't want it to happen. I know that it will because I've had enough instances where I talk about something and it manifests almost instantly or within a few days. The bigger of a deal it is, it takes a little bit more time, but it happens. And it's not because somebody else told me. I saw it already. I experienced it already. I know how hard that is to believe, but I'm telling you the honest truth. And until next time, God bless you, and I hope the best for you. Thank you for listening if you made it this far. Peace.